to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you here. We dive right in.
Good.
Feel free to answer this question in any way that feels comfortable.
Okay.
When's the last time you worried about making your monthly expenses?
I think about it every day. Last time I worried about it, really, it was like last April. Last April, I had a much bigger tax bill than I expected, like just way more than I thought was going to happen. And so it was one of these things where I paid it and then I had like just kind of no money. Like I still had work and money coming in, but I was cash poor, as they say. And suddenly I had to like really think about every dollar I was spending in a way that I hadn't for a couple of years. And
yeah,
I qualify this because I knew I'd get out of it at some point. But all of a sudden it's like you start thinking about every coffee you buy, is there a way I could maybe not take an Uber? Should I be walking somewhere, making sure and it's made me hyper aware for a month. So let's say last April 2024.
What was there a particular reason your tax bill was just super crazy last year?
Yes, because I run my own business, which is an improv theater, and I had switched from paying myself as a contractor to paying myself as an employee. When you make that switch, once you're paying as an employee, this is so exciting, I know, but like
this is actually, we love practical tips.
Okay, so you're all of a sudden paying taxes as you go when you're an employee, right? Like the government is withdrawing money from my paycheck. And I just thought in my head, back of the envelope was like, oh, then I won't have much of a tax bill. It's all going to be paid in advance. But I had done enough freelance work and other freelance work. I was just deluding myself.
I feel like we should have a little tax corner because we never really talk about this stuff on the show.
Oh, taxes are huge. I mean, it's so annoying and crazy.
Yeah.
How do you typically handle all that? Do you like have a go-to accountant? You take it to H&R Block? Like, what's your method?
Okay. I think this is big. I mean, if you're doing your own business stuff, the way you handle taxes is key. Because it'll catch up with you one way or the other. So you got to, I have an accountant, my own accountant who every year has done my personal taxes for like 15 years, even before I was running my own thing. And then my business has a bookkeeper where every month we reconcile the books. Like every month I sit down with her, we go through everything and just see where we stand for the year, which is a lot. A monthly meeting is a lot, but especially for a small business, I probably don't like quote unquote have to, but I need to so that I don't get surprised. And then she prepares my business's taxes, and then my other accountant does my personal ones. I mean, it's actually a pretty big investment of like money and time in that, but I am 1,000% sure it comes out ahead for me.
I want to jump in because I do think this is an important conversation. I think anyone who lives in a gig economy needs to talk about this. So I have an LLC, which is huge, and I think every freelancer should have an LLC.
Yeah, I agree.
And you do pay so much lower taxes, and there's so much you can expense. You can usually expense the maximum allowed. And I also have a bookkeeper and accountant, and my bookkeeper, I have pretty significant money trauma from growing up in an alcoholic home where money was like...
Me too. I grew up in one of those.
Yeah.
Not that they're all the same, but I relate to what you're saying.
There's a boom bust thing that happens that can make money feel really big.
Yeah.
Like when things were good, things were great. And when things were bad, who knows what was going to happen. Right. So I outsource that, and it's like the last thing I'll cut in my life. Because if I don't have a bookkeeper, it's unlikely I'll deal with it. And my
That's
bookkeeper,
exactly right. I won't open my mail. I won't even know that I'm getting billed.
Yep. And I have auto bill on everything. And I have like a separate account for my mortgage and monthly bills. So I always just know that I have enough in that. Right.
When I first hired my accountant, I was like broke. Like it was, I felt stupid going to an accountant because I had so little money. But somebody was like, this guy this hypothetical expert will know what to deduct. You want somebody. Tax laws are crazy.
Yeah.
And if you just take the path of least resistance, you will lose. And if you have somebody on your side, and I'm not even talking like anything like criminal or like legal, just somebody who like knows the boundaries, and they'll just be, and right away, this guy was like, well, again, when I first hired him, he's like, so you're an actor. And I also was a part-time computer programmer. This is like in 2004 or 5. And I had a job as a computer programmer. He's like, but you also do creative stuff, right? Because I did like a very little acting and stuff. He's like, we can make deductions just for your freelance stuff, even though that's not your main source of income. Like, you can deduct gas money. You can deduct cell phone bill. You can, portions of it. And, I paid him whatever it was in 2004, I think $250. And he probably lowered my tax bill $2,000 or something like that.
I pay my bookkeeper significantly more than that, but that's because
I pay my guy more now too. But at that time, because I was like so simple, I was bringing him like a W-2, a 1099.
Right.
He spent like an hour doing my stuff or whatever.
The other thing I'll say that I want everyone in the audience to know is like, I'm broke right now, like pretty broke, right? Mm-hmm. And I have a tax bill due next week. Well, it's October 7th. So my deferred taxes are due next week, right? I won't have the money to cover it. You can do a payment plan on the IRS. That's not a hard credit pull that you get like 10 years to pay off. Yeah. It's automatic approval if you owe less than $50,000. And the rate is set by the federal rate, which right now is 8%, but it's still a better deal than any credit card or any personal.
Any credit card. Yes. I used to work for a guy when I was in college who did do shady, like under the table, trying to not pay taxes guy. He was like an expert in it. I was like his like office assistant or whatever. Like I just did paperwork during the day. He was a dad of my friend. And I liked this guy, but this guy hated paying taxes. And like it was like his career to not pay taxes. And he'd gotten in trouble for it. His advice to me was the IRS hates if you just don't file. If you don't file, they will come after you. But if you do file and you set up a payment plan, they're not mad. If you over deduct and then they audit you and fine you, they're not mad at you. They'll fine you, but you're not going to jail. You're not in any real trouble. What they want is you to check in. Like and as long as, and so again, I'm not an expert or whatever, but it relieved me. I was like, okay, so I'm going to file. My return might not be perfect, but I am doing I'm kissing the ring of the IRS once a year. And that's what keeps them from turning into a hostile entity in your life.
So I have an LLC for my touring business, and I have a S corp for like all my other creative stuff, and in a personal account too. So I have a business manager.
Yeah, you gotta at that level
oversees all of that. But speaking of payment plans, and I'm not sure, Will, what your marital status is.
I'm single. Single.
So the probably the year I made the most money in my life was also the year before I got divorced.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that bill was so big, I had to do a payment plan for that one. And I'm still paying that off. Like, I think for 5 years in, I'm still paying that. But one thing that's happened a couple of times is that even though her and I are divorced and we file separately and all of that legally, when she gets a refund, they'll take it from her because we're not done paying the bill that we had when we were filing together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's really whack.
Taxes suck. I mean, like, Shakespeare was mad about taxes, right? You can find people mad about taxes as long as there's been money.
Yeah. So, it's not fun to suddenly owe your ex-wife $3,000.
No.
Yeah, I don't.
You're like, I thought I was done with this. I thought we moved on.
I don't mind the idea. I mean, obviously, like, I believe government should do stuff for us, and we have to pay taxes in order to have the government do stuff for us. I think what upsets me about taxes from a progressive standpoint is like I mean, obviously not enough, not the right things are supported by my estimation,
Right.
right? It's an unfair tax system. People at the top should pay more, people at the bottom should pay less. And in America, this is, maybe y'all know this, but fascinating and makes me angry, which is we shouldn't need to do taxes. The government has all this stuff. The only reason we should be able to do taxes actually is creatives. Like in other countries, if you have just a standard tax, if you're just a person with a jobby job, government will send you a bill at the end of the year and be like, this is what we calculate that you owe.
Right.
Pay us. If you're a person who takes deductions, then you have to file a more complicated tax form, right? But it's still like an order of magnitude easier than it is here. But
Right.
and perhaps you'll know this, like Intuit and H&R Block like have huge lobbying arms to
Right.
keep it from being
To
simple.
keep it that way.
Sure. I mean, the system is set up for the rich people. There's no secret to it. So just like work backwards from that. Like whatever the system is, it is because the rich people got it that way. And I'm not like a revolutionary guy. I am a rule following beta, trying to get along fellow. But I've got common sense, and I just have these rules are in place because they benefit people with money. But again,
This is
that's
now
why
an accounting. This is now an accounting podcast, so we can just talk about this.
Hey, I'm into it because I think this stuff impacts people's happiness a lot.
Oh, it does. It totally does.
And anxiety about money makes people make so many bad decisions. And a long time ago, I made the decision to not pursue money primarily, but pursue free time. Like I want control over my time. So I work hard to make enough money that I'm not scared of bills, but I don't want to give up all of my time for the sake of security. And that's that's a special dance. Like I don't have financial security, meaning I don't really know how much money I'm going to make year to year because so much of it is in flux. I mean, I have like a pretty certain idea 1 or 2 years out what it's going to be like if everything goes well. But I don't really know. I teach improv, I do acting, I sell books. All that stuff is subject to other people's decisions.
Right.
However, I work for myself. I get up in the morning and I have coffee in my kitchen and I come to my bedroom and I decide what I'm splurging on or not splurging on. And I want that control. And the decision I made in my life was I want time and I'll give up security. Because I used to be a corporate guy. I had a corporate job until I was like 33. I'm 55 now. When I was and up until then, it was like go to the cubicle, 9 a.m., work until 6, and I was making not a ton of money. I think I had a little. Sometimes I made good money because I did computer programming, which can be lucrative. But I was usually making somewhere in the realm of like 60 to 70,000. Now that's a good salary, especially if you're a young man. But I was like, I'm giving up 50 hours of my week for that. That's not that much money. I can't like buy property with that salary. I'm just pursuing somebody else's dream for what? The illusion that I have security. So I walked away from it and my income dropped to like 30,000 while I just did like improv coaching and teaching in my mid 30s. But I got all my time back. And I was like, this is the way I'm going to live my life. And then and the reason I say that is like being able to make sure you're not getting screwed on taxes is a huge part of this. You have to manage your own shit this way. Even if managing your own shit, Mike, is like getting a business manager. That's still you making sure somebody is on it for you. And it means you gotta like be your own producer. Like you have to be your own producer of your life. And taxes is a huge part of it. Taxes you will lose if you're not paying attention to it.